Alright, let's see here. It's been a while since I've made a video, but I have some ranting to do today, so cool deal. Alright. Alright, since it's been a while since I've gone on here and done a rant of sorts, this one really isn't going to have a standard topic. First, I'm going to have to deal with the quote-unquote natural scientists and natural science, which somehow includes theories about, theories such as M theory and string theory and whatnot. And the only way to defend the lack of observation with such theories is a very similar argument that religious people use to defend the fact that you can't observe God. I even saw that on I think it was the Discovery Channel. Some guy was floating on top of the water. He said, "See, you can't see the things below there. It doesn't mean they're not there." Of course, everyone knows that. But that doesn't mean that they are either. And it doesn't justify the lack of observation. If you're going to report something as a fact, or even a theory to be taken seriously, you need to have some type of observation. All theory needs to be grounded. Of course, the natural scientists don't want to hear anything to do about grounded theory or reflexivity or especially anything post-structural. They don't want to know about power knowledge or any of Foucault's work. Now, and they definitely, they can handle some psychology. Until someone starts questioning their psychological background as being a possible influence on the way they interpret data. But they definitely don't want anything to do with sociology, because sociology is, especially more post-structural sociology, which is the field that or sociology in general is the field that gave us the idea of power knowledge from Foucault, and the idea that everything occurs within a culture and within a society, and thus is influenced by social forces. This deconstructs the concept of objectivity. It does not exist. Only intersubjectivity exists. In many ways, subjectivity can't even exist, because even when you think, you're using words. Kind of reminds me of the Smith song, Cemetery Graves, because poking fun at the idea of that you're not supposed to be plagiaristic. Everyone's a plagiarizer. And of course, unless of course you can avoid that with neologisms, of course. But at any rate, there's just intersubjectivity, and you can be on the outside of that, and you can breach that, and all kinds of different things. But this idea that the experiment protects against bias in the interpretation of the factual data it provides is absolutely absurd. All the experiment does is provide factual data, which is fine. That's, in my opinion, that's all natural science can really do, is provide factual data. It can't step beyond that and give us any type of meaning or any theory of everything. In many ways, what's his name? Wheelchair guy, who's been disproven quite a bit, or at least there are some competing theories with some of his astrophysics and shit from people like Martin Boyewald and stuff. But anyways, in many ways, he has a similar situation to that of Socrates. And in Nietzsche's analysis of Socrates, that Socrates was not his forced Socrates to be reflexive, forced Socrates to look at his, if he had been alive, he forced us to look at Socrates' position within society, his particular society, ancient Greece, which was more of a heterotopia. I wouldn't call it a full-blown heterotopia, but people, at least in the stories, had their own measures. And due to his, so why did he come along and decide to be so resentful and ruin that? Ruin the free spiritedness and say there must be a universal measure. Nietzsche links this to his place within society. That and also he pulls a psychological thing and said his response to his place in society was resentment, and rather than use that as an obstacle to overcome, Socrates flipped around and went slave moralist and wanted to make everything the same and needed otherworldliness, magical worlds of perfect forms where we know what a tree is and that's what it is. When sociologists have since backed up Nietzsche, basically, whether they know it or not, by proving that words are words. They're socially developed. Language is socially developed. They change meanings over time. Just look at text and stuff like that. People say, oh no, people don't know how to speak the language anymore. Languages change unless they're dead. Alright? So, and it's not a progressive thing like positivists might want to say. No, it's discontinuous. I mean, now some things do lead to other things, but as far as the cultural mind frame is concerned, it's often discontinuous, and that causes discontinuous changes. At any rate, the natural scientists, now I'm not talking about like geologists and stuff, people who have hard things to look at and observe. I'm talking about if people are going to try to say that things like sociology are not a science, then we really need to say that everything Wheelchair Man produces, I really honestly can't remember his name, the cripple guy, what's his name, Hawking, we can't call that science. If we're not going to call sociology, all of it, including the qualitative side and including the more complicated post-structuralist side of qualitative, if we can't call that science, we can't call M theory science. We can call it science fiction, okay? By the very standards of natural science, by the way. But for whatever reason, they want to let that in, and then you have people like Noam Chomsky come in and say, complain about French intellectuals, whether he was leaving out Foucault or not, saying they were basically wanting to copy all the complexity of some of the real natural sciences, like Derrida is trying to be, what's his face, Hawking, this and that and whatnot. That's crap. All right. Social science, the science of language, the science of all these things, is just as complicated as anything in the natural sciences. fact of the matter is the fields are just now getting into the more complex things because they're younger fields. Physics has been around forever, so of course they're going to be in the more complicated aspects of their field. The thing is, and I think any respectable physicist would tell you that these complex theories, astrophysics and such, and quantum physics, quantum mechanics is really interesting because you can, in the experiments on that, you can actually observe a lot of things. But I've lost where I was going. At any rate, by all means, they're valid scientific theories. They're not facts, though, and this whole culture within natural science, and it even sneaks into quantitative human sciences, is that we're automatically objective because everything we've done to set up experiments or our mathematical data or whatnot, statistical data, the variables we've chosen, the way we've collected this, we're objective. No one's objective. Objectivity does not, and non-objectivity does not equate to a lack of facts. Facts are observable, can be pointed out. The words we put to facts are the start of interpretation. Now, most of us will not disagree that this is a cigarette. Alright, that's a very simple, interpretation of it. But within both human and natural sciences, you're dealing with much more complicated facts. Alright, this certain statistical trend can mean many different things, or any number of similar situations. So the main point I'm getting across here is that reflexivity is not only useful in human sciences, even though most of the human sciences don't even want to deal with grounded theory. Well, they don't mind grounded theory, but reflexivity, it's also helpful in, or could be helpful in, the natural sciences. I think that every researcher, whether they're a natural scientist or a social scientist or whatever, every researcher and every research project should keep a type of reflexive journal that not only covers their theoretical biases, their possible religious, political, or just everyday biases. It shouldn't be limited to what is put in there. But I think that every research project should require one, because that allows, even if they can't escape the bias, it's recorded, and the reader can then take that into consideration while reading the final intellectual product. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to get on here and say that natural science is crap, because a lot of it's not, and a lot of it's very interesting, and I'm not going to say that, the astrophysics or quantum physics or whatever, I'm not going to say that's crap either, but that's because I'm fairly confident in my own field that I don't feel the need to drag other fields down, and apparently other people do. But at any rate, that's all I have to say on that.